When you're riding down the road, the majority of the threat from traffic is what's out in front of you. However, that begins to shift to the rear when we come to a stop, especially when we're coming to a stop in traffic. This week on MCrider, let's look at some strategies on how to handle that, because I can't tell you how many times I've seen riders pull up to a stop in traffic and do this. Hey, welcome to MCrider. My name's Kevin, where I release a weekly video focused on road skill or road strategy to help make you a better rider. MCrider is also supported by our friends on Patreon, where they get access to the forums and the field guide, where we have road skills exercises that you can practice on any open parking lot. We got descriptions, coaching tips, and techniques that you can practice these skills on any open parking lot. So if you want more information on becoming a patron and supporting the channel, you can go to mcrider.com/support. Before we get to this week's video, a couple weeks ago I sent out notifications offering to do a meetup, and it was a little bit short notice, and I thought maybe 4 or 5 riders would show up for it. I think we had 21 riders show up. We had a parking lot full of bikes, and it was really cool to meet you guys. We actually had a guy from New Mexico that rode in just to hang out with us for a little while and go to the event with us. So it was a whole lot of fun. I know I enjoyed it, and I hope you did as well. There's a couple of motorcycle related events coming up in December and January, so watch your notifications. We may try to do another meetup during that time. So thank you guys for showing up. I know I had a great time, and it was a pleasure meeting all of you guys. So this week we're going to get out of the garage, we're going to go out on the parking lot, and I'll show you some common mistakes that riders make in stopping a motorcycle in traffic, and then I'll give you some strategies that you can employ when you go out for your ride this afternoon. You can employ these strategies and make yourself safer because of it. So we've got a simple range set up with some green and some orange cones for this exercise. I've got the green cones in the middle, and those represent a car. And then the orange cones represent lanes on either side of the car. So let's simulate pulling up to those green cones just like it was a car stopped at a stoplight out on the street. The first mistake that a lot of riders make is when they pull up to a situation like this, they pull in too close to the vehicle in front of them. As you see here, I'm directly behind the vehicle in front of me. Not only that, but I'm centered on the vehicle, so that if a car behind me doesn't get on the brakes in time, I've got to do a lot of gymnastics in order to get around it. A lot of riders will make the situation even worse by pulling up to the car and immediately shifting the motorcycle to neutral. They consider this a resting point, taking their hands off the hand grips, but they're leaving themselves at mercy to the cars behind them coming to a stop. You always want to pull up in a situation like this, bike in first gear, looking at the rear view mirrors, ready to move out if you need to. So let's look at 4 tips that'll help you deal with this situation. The first thing is, when you pull up to a stoplight, you want to find an escape route. So whether it's left or right, you want to pick out a place and have a plan in place where you can get the motorcycle to and away from traffic. Next, you want to stop far enough back from the vehicle in front of you so that you can get to that escape route. Our third tip is, if you approach the stopping area with enough forethought and planning, you can find your escape route early and you can stop your motorcycle on that side of the lane so that it's easier to escape if you need to. Our fourth tip is, in some situations you may want to approach the stopping area and angle the motorcycle towards the escape route. That's going to do a couple of things for you. It's going to make it easier to get out of the way, and it's going to increase the profile of your motorcycle to vehicles approaching you from behind. This is an easy exercise to practice on your own. You can set it up like I did with the cones, or if the parking lot that you're on has squared off parking spaces, you can use those as well. You want to practice doing this to both sides, and you want to get a feel for stopping the motorcycle in different positions behind the vehicle in front of you. Sometimes you'll end up closer than you intended to be. Sometimes you won't have as much room to get around it as you might want, just like it would be out in a real world situation. And you want to practice stopping at different distances between the vehicle in front of you. And notice how much more difficult it is to get around that vehicle the closer you are to it when you come to a stop. I hope you found this exercise beneficial, and I hope even more you'll start employing this when you have to come to a stop at red lights out on the street. It really will save you from those instances where the vehicle doesn't get to a stop behind you. Till next week, guys, this is Kevin with MCrider, and we'll see you on the road. MCrider is made possible by our friends on Patreon. To learn how to support MCrider, get access to the field guide and the forums, go to mcrider.com/support.